The landing and support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on integrity. Three and a half minutes left in this blackout period. This is a visualization of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield. Flight Dynamics reports that airborne assets in the vicinity of the splashdown zone do have a visual on Integrity. Still 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in our blackout period. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds. Multiple airborne assets as part of the recovery team all have visuals on Integrity. And the WB-57 flying in the splashdown zone also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals. We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have communications from the crew. We're standing by for communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now. We are now processing data from Integrity. Landing and support officer reports the small boats are en route to the splashdown target zone. Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of Integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America in a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home. Passing 100,000 feet now. Range to splashdown 19 nautical miles.
Place these goggles over his or her eyes. Hitting this switch will commence the visualization while the drugs take effect.
Integrity impact to the camera controller fail is no Cab 1 views of the chutes.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of Integrity, time to splashdown 4.5 minutes. And a view of Integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet.
Inside the Orion spacecraft, which was named Integrity by its crew. They are currently capturing some images. It looks like they're capturing images of each other in front of one of the cabin windows with a view of Earth outside. And of course, we have been uploading and sharing imagery as we receive it from the crew. There on your screen from left to right, you can see NASA astronaut Christina Koch. NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, and it looked like Reed was trying to show off the image that he was capturing just now.
Wow, thank you for showing us that. That is so cool. Wow, thank you for showing us that. That is so cool. We look like we're smiling at you, like a little Cheshire cat.
Yeah, that is exactly the same comment that we made, and that's why we put Victor beside it for his smile, and took a picture of him there. And his smile is as bright as your smile.
I believe it. Thank you.
You're seeing a live look inside the Orion spacecraft, which is named Integrity, and it was named Integrity by its crew. The crew is currently working through a pre-lunar flyby cabin configuration activity. All 4 of them are working to deploy various cameras and equipment that will be used during the flyby, which is planned for flight day 6 of the mission. They'll also be adjusting the spacecraft's lighting and positioning of each crew member to ensure that all of the equipment, cameras, as well as the individual placement of each of them works and will be seamless during the flyby observation. Period. And there you can see on your screen that the crew just turned out the lights on the Orion spacecraft. So now it's quite dark. And again, they are adjusting the lighting as part of that lunar flyby cabin configuration activity so that they can test the lighting as well as all of the camera equipment that will be used during the lunar flyby. And this is Artemis Mission Control. NASA astronaut Christina Koch is currently working through the Deep Space Network emergency communications and will be seamless during the flyby observation period. And there you can see on your screen that the crew just turned out the lights on the Orion spacecraft. So now it's quite dark. And again, they are adjusting the lighting as part of that lunar flyby cabin configuration activity so that they can test the lighting as well as all of the camera equipment that will be used during the lunar flyby. And this is Artemis Mission Control. NASA astronaut Christina Koch is currently working through the Deep Space Network emergency communications developmental flight test objective, during which she's basically conducting a checkout of that emergency communication system on Orion while connected to that Deep Space Network.
And Integrity Houston, we have some news to share with you. As of 30 seconds ago, you are now closer to the moon than you are to us on Earth.
Wow, Jackie, thank you for sharing that with us. We all kind of had a collective, I guess, expression of joy at that. It's hard to imagine, but we can see here on our flight PFD that we are at 118,000 nautical miles. So, yeah, you can do the math. We can see the moon out of the docking hatch right now. It is a beautiful sight. We're seeing more and more of the far side, and it's just a thrill to be here.
Houston copies.
Now, while they are officially closer to the moon than they are to Earth, they have not entered what is known as the lunar sphere of influence yet. That milestone will come on flight day 5. Actually closer to the moon than they are to Earth. They have not entered what is known as the lunar sphere of influence yet. That milestone will come on flight day 5. And when that milestone happens, that is when the moon, instead of the Earth, becomes the main gravitational force acting on the Orion spacecraft.
Yeah, Jackie, we just wanted to sync up with you. We know that there was some talk about some burnt smell smell from the heaters. Okay, Jackie, so this time we turned on the WHC on the toilet, and it had that burning odor smell that we just hadn't experienced before. And so we just wanted to talk to you about it. We know we had a briefing on that. So the crew has smelt it once or twice before, but this time was stronger and was different. And we opened the door, everybody in the cabin could smell it. So we just thought we'd check in with you. We're not overly concerned right now. It's probably related to what we're told to expect, but we just wanted to have a quick conversation.
Integrity Houston, on Orion to Earth 1 for the toilet. We've discussed, based on the pre-flight reports and the AGA readings, we're going to continue discussing on the ground, but we are comfortable continuing with the emergency comm DFTO, and we are comfortable with you continuing to use the toilet.
On board the Orion spacecraft, the crew is currently awake. They are wrapping up some final activities for the day. NASA astronaut Christina Koch is currently working through a Deep Space Network Emergency Communications Developmental Flight Test Objective.
We are live in Tehran, Ramallah and Islamabad. First to Osama bin Javaid in the Pakistani capital, near the venue of those talks. Osama, of course, we've been saying this ever since they started. So much at stake in Islamabad. Talks we now know have officially begun. Do we have any idea on the shape, the duration?
Well, it is a historic day, as you mentioned.
Integrity crew, when you are able, could you give us an indicator or an indication if you are bumping up against or touching the smoke detector in any way when you're over in that area of the cabin?
I think MCC reported some erroneous data yesterday. Maybe that's happening again. We had a towel over there, but we don't think we're bumping into it. Give us a couple more seconds because we need to grab a few more pictures, and then we'll try to get away from it for a minute.
And we don't have any concern. You guys can stay over there, keep taking your photos. We were just curious. Continue.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We're currently 7 days, 5 hours.
All right, sounds good, Jenny. Yeah, we caught a view of Earth in window 1, and now we're completely distracted for a little bit. You guys are looking great.
Thanks. Yeah, we love that. We were just noticing, it's really cool, actually. In the data that ECOM's seeing, they're seeing an indication on the smoke detector, and they think it's when the flash goes off. So we were just curious. Thank you.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We're currently 7 days, 5 hours, and 22 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission.
Administrator Isaacman, just get a quick comm check, make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am. I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Administrator Isaacman, just get a quick comm check, make sure you guys are still on the line and we didn't have a handover.
I am. Yes, I am.
Then question 2, if and when they make a movie about this, who do you want to play you?
Well, sir, it's an honor to be with all of you.
What were you thinking when you were going around the moon, the furthest ever from Earth, on the dark side of the moon? We'd love to hear your thoughts as you made your way around the moon out of radio contact.
So during the time of the nearest approach to the moon, we were doing so much science. I took a brief moment to say a short prayer of.
In this video, just look at this guy's. He's got one string sitting up. One string is relaxing on his chest here until right about now, when it comes alive and starts bouncing around like some puppet on a string. I'll back it up right here. So it's resting on his chest, and suddenly it's alive. It's alive. What is happening to this string? Why is it waving and bouncing around? I got questions, guys. What do you think about this? Look at this dude's shirt. Why is his shirt lifting up? I mean, I even see something going on with his shoulders here. Looks like harness type stuff, or what's going on with this? What is that? It literally looks like this is a movie. He's got a harness and they're trying to remove, and then he says something right here. He's saying something to this guy, and then this guy's like, oh, okay. And he turns off the camera. You'll see his hand reach up and turn the camera off. Here we go. Boom. Turn the camera off.
But Peanut and I noticed this when we covered the return. Remember, I backed up when they did the capsule separation just before they supposedly did the re-entry. I'm going, boy, that capsule looks weird. How did they get that shot? And so I had Peanut pull it up. This is off of Fox News, right? So take a quick look at this, guys. I'm going to turn off comments.
What is that?
Remind me to put comments back on, DJ. This is a straight up shot from the capsule right after you. They only showed it for like 3 seconds. The capsule, and I'm like, that doesn't look like the heat tiles. Remember, this is the bottom of the capsule.
It looks concave.
Bingo. That's exactly what Peanut said. He goes, does that look concave to you? I go, at the very least, it doesn't look tiled. What am I looking at?
Show us how this capsule goes in butt first.
It's not even the right color.
Sorry. That was the other thing. I got to mention this really fast because Peanut picked up on it. Peanut, you're worth the money we pay you, which is all right. So they're going to the capsule, right? How are they getting to the capsule for separation? You remember on Apollo, it was done completely the opposite. The capsule was tied.
How did they get in there?
Exactly. How do you get into this capsule? And we saw it separate. There was nothing in the front of it like was. Remember Apollo? It was attached at the nose, going the other way, and that's how you release the capsule. On this one, it's like, wait, why are you attached from the base? You can't. There's not a door there, nor would you ever have a door.
That's a good point, man.
Right?
I'm not following because I thought they entered in the same way we just saw the video where they got them.
How would they do that in space?
No. How would you do that?
How would you do that in space?
You'd have to take a spacewalk to get into the capsule.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean?
Well, they didn't start off in that.
This thing again, just before they supposedly did the re-entry to Earth, we saw this like little 3-second clip where this thing escapes, and I'm staring at it going, there's something about this that doesn't make sense. And then the more you stare at it, it's like, this doesn't make sense on a whole bunch of levels. So I want to compare it really fast just so you guys can see it. Share screen, window. This is what the bottom's supposed to look like.
Oh,
that's not what we saw.
Not at all.
Like a tree trunk.
It does.
That's not that. Tell me how this and this are identical. This is the same freaking craft.
Wow.
I do not see any of this in this. Not even a little bit. And on top of it, remember, somehow they got into that with a door that we don't know where the door is, other than the outside that David pointed out. It's like, you're not doing a spacewalk to get in that. And if you did, you'd make a big deal out of it.
All this video that we got of them floating around doing interviews, not in the capsule.
That was attached to the capsule, but how was it attached?
Yeah, which they never showed, by the way.
But they showed the separation, which was the bottom was attached, and that's the heat shield.
Right.
There's no door there.
There's no door there.
Yeah.
How'd you get in there, guys?
No one's ever seen a capsule come back and burn up. No one films it from the ground, and NASA doesn't even film
the
it.
animation, Dave.
But we saw the animation, and in reality, it's an animation. It should look like here. Let me pull this up. It should look like this.
It's just saying.
Yeah. This is how they showed it to us.
Oh, yeah.
If it's an animation, why were they showing it upside down? Right?
Right. Looks like
Why were they showing it? This is upside down. This is how they showed us. Like this,
No.
right? They showed it to us upside down.
Yeah, but
Oh, that's great.
yeah.
How the hell? How did they get something moving at that speed anyway?
Well, gravity, dude. Come on.
Yeah, 25,000 miles an hour. That's the gravitational pull right there.
But this is how it should be. It should look like this, right?
And I
And,
wish it
that's
was
coming in at 25,000 miles an hour. Why doesn't it flip around like a badminton, a birdie would?
Yeah, maybe they're trying to show you it's coming in from the south
So
hemisphere.
she's inside of here, and then she just radios in. Yeah, we're all good. So after the radio silence, hello everybody, Houston, can you hear us loud and clear? Oh, great.
We're free falling.
They would be crapping themselves.
I was just
Right?
thinking that, dude. Your
Yeah.
guts go up when you ride that thing.
Yeah, those people are going 40 miles an hour,
And
So-
it's not even going aerodynamic. It's like fat,
and
wide
they're on fire,
That's
and they
what
have to
I'm
hope that the parachutes work.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't understand how.
Comcheck, post blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal.
Okay, so this is supposedly the capsule. I mean, not the finished one, of course, but that's supposedly the module, and these are the retractable solar panels on top of it. So most of the photography, most of the videos of them with the Nutella and all that would have been in the lower section. But yes, as you can see here, this is different from what Apollo was set up to be, because remember when they were hovering around the moon, the nose cone attached to the one thing, and then it flew back to Earth, and then they released from the nose. It was nose to nose. How are you getting into the capsule from this with the heat shields?
Really good engineering.
That.
Yep,
that's
that.
smooth.
How?
Those aren't tiles.
No.
Those aren't those, quote, tiles to protect the heat.
That is
And
interesting.
those four things, which you see on all the other ones, those aren't going to be heat protected. So wouldn't those melt in the 5,000 fucking degrees?
To find it. Hang on. It's right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
And we have adjusted the fan speed. We'll take a thumbs up if you're happy with it.
Thumbs up right away.
Wow.
Now look. Now watch
Happy thumbs up.
watch the other guy. He's like, oh my god. And then the guy, he's like, hey. And they were like, oh.
Affirmative thumbs up.
Hey.
Then they all do a delayed thumbs up.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Here.
But you see the way
One more
you
time.
see the way that
And
dude,
we have adjusted the fan speed. We'll take a thumbs up if you're happy with it.
Jesus, he did it. He did it.
look how he does his head. He's
And I
like,
didn't pull it
man.
back.
Yeah, it's like he's.
Thumbs up.
You know what bothered me was when they said they had to rehydrate food, right? They had dried food, they had to add water to it, and it's like it's only a 10-day mission, and it's not like you're going outside of the space capsule. So what are you rehydrating anything for? You could have taken MREs, fully blown, rations. Why did you have to reconstitute anything for this trip? And plus, you also showed, hey, you got Nutella, you got spoon right out of the jar,
and they're eating shrimp cocktail and all sorts of crap. Think about that in your stomach where the bile doesn't know which way to go. It would just be, there would be all sorts of gastral problems coming out of both ends.
It's like, why would you eat anything that would give you gastral problems at all? Why wouldn't you just eat nothing but vanilla paste and protein capsules? Why would you eat anything? It's, you've got such a confined environment. Why? Yeah, the shrimp.
That's why they called it Fartimus. Don't you know?
Fartimus. Yeah, Fartimus. It was good. All right.
I had to turn my camera off on that because I don't.
What other things about the launch? Little things, Dave. If you have them, we'll put them up. If not, the red dot, the green screen red dot markers on the.
Oh yeah,
food
the
packs.
glitches, the NASA fails, the CGI.
That was a twofer because not only was there a red dot. Hang on, I'll blow this up. Not only was there a red dot. You guys, anyone that hasn't seen this, please, NASA fanboys, tell me. That is a straight up green screen marker right there. And we know this because when it flips over enough times, it disappears magically, right? Oh, look at that. Red dot's gone. What happened to the freaking red dot? But you get a twofer for that one because when it goes by his eye, not only does the dithering go wrong next to his eye, but he never even blinked. I mean, I'm sorry, when you have something with that sort of edge getting anywhere close to your eye, you are brushing that off instantly, instinctively, and he absolutely did not. Right. So what are you doing? And the trifecta, which is Why do you have reconstituted food packs anyway? It's only a 10-day trip. You're not in space.
And who threw the Nutella? All four of the astronauts are over here. And think about safety. What if there's a slight depressurization? That can never happen in space. But, it happens on airplanes, but not in space. The thing would explode. Nutella would go everywhere. Glass or plastic.
Right.
Oh, and Homer Simpson comes out of the woodwork and starts.
Here's a comment by Peanut, and this one's very good. And again, this is military lookup. You ready? B-2 bomber pilots eat bland turkey sandwiches, often on wheat bread without cheese, during long 30-plus hour missions to minimize digestive issues and avoid needing to use the aircraft's single inconvenient chemical toilet. These low residue meals help manage digestion and maintain blah, blah, blah. So what are you guys thinking? So for not even a 2-day trip, they're eating turkey sandwiches. They're eating the most bland, protein-filled stuff you can. But these guys are doing the exact opposite. Not only are they fixing stuff up, they're mixing things. Again, turkey. Well, I'm sorry, you're mixing Nutella and shrimp. And what was the other thing they had?
What?
I wouldn't do that at home.
I would never go on a road trip with anyone eating that. I'm sorry.
No, and in a road trip, we're talking about a car. Remember, in a B-2, you can do all sorts of fun ventilation things, but in this, you can't. What do you got there? $11 million for a super yacht.
Yep, $19 million for a house on the water, and $23 million for this toilet.
Right.
Now, the technology on this toilet is you pop open the lid, you put a bag liner around it, and then you snap the thing down, kind of like putting a rubber band around the outside of, if you lined a vacuum cleaner with a bag. You turn on the vacuum, it's just going to pull the bag down, and then that's it. There's no more suction. Then you dump your business in here. You pop open the top, you pull the drawstring, and you have to push it down with a stick. That's the technology. You have to push it down. They have a crap pushing stick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember Flat Earth and Coffee covered extensively that episode on the crapper. It was really funny. I remember that one.
Yeah, it's so they're mocking us. Right. Yeah. And then did you see the whole series? There's like 50 articles on if astronauts fart in space, it's going to be a problem.
See, right? I read this.
Yeah.
Do you have the stars layer one in space, or do you want me to cue it up?
The old one, the first one, from years ago?
No. This one. Let me see.
I don't have it.
Hang on. If I can get the volume. I'm sorry.
Is being faked. But what I am saying, and emphatically, is I'm underwhelmed. I was really excited for some cool stuff. And I've seen about 10 still photographs, just static images that look slightly better than the ones taken in 1969. Apparently from the exact same spot. They have a spot they like. They like to take a picture of the Earth about that big. And then they don't take any other pictures. Wow. And what an opportunity to really stick it to the flat earthers, except for every still image makes the Earth kind of look like a flat disc. Oh. I don't know why you're doing that. I don't need an interview with the crew telling me how they eat soup out of a pouch. Take the camera to the window and shut up and just let me see it. I don't know. Why isn't there something mounted on the outside that just constantly gives me video of the Earth? Show me something with movement. Show me weather patterns moving on the Earth. Show me rotation of the Earth. Zoomed out, see the entire sphere rotate. You really want to blow my mind? Show me some upside down flying planes. That's what Daddy wants to see. A skyline of a major city upside down with planes flying like that. That's all I want. And I'm getting none of that. And I suspect I will get none of that either. And we don't know what's real or what's fake. So I don't know why anyone's excited about anything they're seeing. This is so disappointing.
There you go. And
Where they get the bravery, I have no idea. But you're a big part of it. You really are. We have the hottest country in the world. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Brad. 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 We'll go out that door, guys. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, guys. This way. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, guys. This way. This way. People went to the far side of the moon. No one asked them about their experience. I know. I'm so sad. I need to know what it was like. I like this. Come on. You're killing me. I'm right there. I was like.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Yeah. Gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tweeted, I think it was from Scientific American, it's a little bit misleading, but one of the things they said is only 64% are convinced that the world is a ball. The world is a circle, that the world is a spheroid? Is that what it's called? Oblate?
I mean, I'd like to see how that question
spheroid?
was asked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because if they know that we are oblate, and the thing is asking, is Earth a ball? They'll say, no, we're an oblate ball.
Well,
we're slightly wider below the equator than at the equator, so we're a pear-shaped oblate spheroid.
Houston, integrity on 1 for lunar flyby setup.
Go ahead.
If you still have the HHP, we're wondering, in Jeremy's position, if he's looking out the window there, will the moon be right side up or upside down?
We have a great view. We'll checking.
Alternatively, is the north pole of the moon going to be in the vehicle plus X direction?
Yeah, we're going to go with the first way you worded the question and say affirm it's upside down in the position Jeremy is in right now.
So if he flips over, it'll be right side up.
That's how it works.
Houston, integrity on 1 for lunar flyby setup.
Go ahead.
If you still have the HHP, we're wondering, in Jeremy's position, if he's looking out the window there, will the moon be right side up or upside down? Lunar flyby setup.
Go ahead.
If you still have the HHP, we're wondering, in Jeremy's position, if he's looking out the window there, will the moon be right side up or upside down?
We have a great view. We'll checking.
Alternatively, is the north pole of the moon going to be in the vehicle plus X direction?
Yeah, we're going to go with the first way you worded the question and say affirm it's upside down in the position Jeremy is in right now.
So if he flips over, it'll be right side up.
That's how it works.
What did you do?
Nothing. I stirred the tanks.
Whoa.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Would you look at that, man?
Wow, what's the shadows behind it? It's different.
Wow.
Hello, Earth.
Dude. No way. Fiend.
God. It's gone. Oh my God.
Would you look at that, man?
Wow, what's the shadows behind it? It's different.
Wow.
Hello, Earth.
Space, the final frontier.
That's probably AI generated.
Hey, it's our friend JT.
Artemis stuff is in the news. I want to take you back a couple years. Do you guys remember when Apple dropped that movie called Fly Me to the Moon? You guys remember it? The premise of this movie was in 1969, they had an alternate backup to fake a moon landing just in case they didn't get to the moon.
The whole world will be watching. We can't afford to lose to the Russians. We need to shoot the backup version of the moon landing.
You mean to fake it?
But what I find really funny about this Do you know what they called their project to fake the moon landing in that movie?
Artemis.
Yeah, of course. They called it Artemis.
Oh, wow.
You can't even make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can, and they do.
Project Artemis.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh shit.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm confused about a lot of this. I mean, they called it integrity, but why would they go live? Why do they do it live?
Integrity and yeah, why were they saying?
Because I try to theorize this in my last stream. Like, why would you even do it live? You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously we could record this and then we could go live on YouTube and we could just play this. So
I don't think
know,
they
think
did
it's
it
like
live.
Magic.
I don't think.
Magic.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff we saw, I don't think it was live. That's.
I think some of it was though, because I think to answer your question, Austin, because it's tradition. They've done the live stuff for so long, because they love talking to like media, calling up some television station, and they want to talk, or their favorite talking to elementary or high school kids.
Yeah, but the CIA runs the media. Right? I guess it's like they don't even want the news to know. Obviously, if the news thinks it's real, then that kind of perpetrates it being real more. Like I don't know, because I'm like, there's some like darker part of it where if it's live, if they're live time tricking you, like it's more, I don't know, some like occultic magic type of thing. Like if I'm tricking you live, is it more impactful? I don't understand why they would ever do it live. It's the stupidest thing that I can imagine doing, because they're gonna keep messing up like they're messing up.
I agree. Live television, not that I'm that old, but live television, Peanut might be, used to be a big thing. It was very popular for that reason, which is people feel like they're more kind of like live streams, right? Live television back in the day was a thing, and NASA jumped on it, but they could get away with it easier. It was easier to cover things up. Remember, there's only 3 television stations and no internet, not even close, which is why nowadays this was dicey. And again, they did the bare minimum, and mainstream media, of course, towed the line and said all the things they were supposed to say. All the images are stunning and brilliant and breathtaking, but social media was just annihilating them behind the scene.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, X was cooking Artemis the whole time. The whole time. I can't believe that they're that busted. It's just a wrap now. I mean, yeah, they did the bare minimum, which would make you think that they're trying to make sure that they don't get caught, right? Like they're just doing the bare minimum. So the going live part's weird. And Dave, you're saying you don't think they went live, but why would they let this stuff go post edit, right? Like why would they let? There is some stuff you just can't explain. You saw the little red dots on the bag. It's like a typical thing used for tracking with like a green screen, and it just disappears.
Right.
Like, I mean, dude, you got busted. Like, there's just really no way around it. That's like a green screen. So
it was very popular for that reason, which is people feel like they're more kind of like live streams, right? Live television.
My predecessor loved precision. His matrix was all fussy facts and equations. He hated the human mind. So he never bothered to realize that you don't give a shit about facts. It's all about fiction. The only world that matters is the one in here. And you people believe the craziest shit. Why? What validates and makes your fictions real? Feelings. Allow me.
Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go.
It was an amazing ride uphill.
We have good separation, good motion.
Houston is go for TLI.
We have the start of the translunar injection burn that will send the crew around the moon, the first humans to do so in over 50 years.
You can see the entire globe from pole to pole. It was the most spectacular moment.
As of 30 seconds ago, you are now closer to the moon than you are to us on Earth. Good morning, Integrity, and good morning, Moon.
Window 1.
We look like we're smiling at you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Artemis 2 crew.
But I wondered if there were other emotions that have come to you since seeing Earth the way you did, since seeing the moon, being the 4 sets of eyes that have only ever seen the far side of the moon.
Tell me about your sleep. Have you been having any dreams of the moon? And if so, what have the dreams been like?
What were you feeling when you come from deeper in space than we've ever been to then you can see the ocean again? What did you feel? What was your body telling you?
I'm just curious if anybody else brought anything sports related or something that you absolutely had to take up with you.
I'd like to ask about mental health. You know, it was a very busy mission. How are you able to take care of yourself, you know, get some rest and some me time when you guys are sharing just that small area throughout the mission? Thanks.
And I'm wondering, once Hollywood gets a hold of this story and makes the Artemis 2 movie that I'm sure will inevitably be made, what part of this mission needs to be told you know, in the most crucial, specific way possible? What part of this mission tells the story that Hollywood needs to get right?
I'm wondering if there were any moments throughout the mission where you felt concerned from a safety standpoint, or did you feel like it was fairly smooth from your perspective?
I guess the thing that might be hardest to convey, no matter what the platform, would be how much it meant to us to bring everyone along with us, and how much it meant to us to hear that the mission had an impact. I cannot overstate how important that was to us. It was every bit as important as accomplishing the technical goals and being there for our NASA teammates, was to make this the world's mission and for it to have a positive impact on as much of the world as possible.
Hi, Erin Winnick-Anthony for CBS Mission Unstoppable. For Christina, you said advice for the crew as a whole, but for the astronaut that's selected to be the first woman to walk on the moon, do you have any specific lessons learned or advice to pass along to them?
Having spent 9+ days physically in integrity, how you found yourself being in integrity, you know, emotionally and practically, as it was to exercise the spacecraft for the first time. Thank you.
How realistic are you feeling about like humans actually going to the moon, going down to the surface, putting down roots there, staying, and actually establishing some kind of semi-permanent settlement
doing something quite different than we did in the 1960s with Apollo.
I'm Nick Notario with ABC 13. I want to talk to you all about the magnitude of what you all just did. So to give you some idea, ABC, on the splashdown coverage alone, 10 million people watched our network that day. Just splashdown. That's not the launch, the lunar flyby. And I got to tell you, one of those viewers was my daughter, Ellie, who turned 4 during your mission. And she was mesmerized by what you all were doing. She wasn't talking about her big Bluey birthday party. She wasn't talking about the gifts that she got. Every night I came home from JSC, she said, "Daddy, Ellie, go to space." She was infatuated. When you hear stuff like that and the amount of people that were interested in what you've done, has the gravity yet hit you about this mission? And, how has it changed you as well?
It brought tears to my eyes, and I said, that's all we ever wanted. Yep. And I can tell you that the difference now is when we come before you now, we've done this together. We took your hearts with us, and your hearts lifted our hearts.
It's been such a joy watching how much this mission has gotten people so excited about space. My question's a little bit deep, so bear with me. When Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell was returning from the moon, he had an experience so profound that when he returned to Earth, he devoted the rest of his life to studying the nature of human consciousness. And it's a theme that all 4 of you touched on to varying degrees at some point during the mission. And so my question is, now that you've been back on Earth for just a few days and had a little bit of time to sit with it, do any of you feel as though you had an experience similar to what Mitchell described, this sense of universal connectedness? And did you experience somehow a shift in consciousness somehow? Thanks.
Yes. Chris, it's a great question. I'll just the only thing I can do is just share one quick story. When I got back on the ship, I'm not really a religious person, but there was just no other avenue for me to explain anything or to experience anything. So I asked for the chaplain on the Navy ship to just come visit us for a minute. And when that man walked in, I'd never met him before in my life, but I saw the cross on his collar, and I broke down in tears. It's very hard to fully grasp what we just went through. And in these you just said it's been a week since we've been back, but it's been a week of medical testing, physical testing, doctors, science objectives. We have not had that decompression. We have not had that reflection time. So I'm basing this on what we saw. And when the sun eclipsed behind the moon, I think all 4 of us, I turned to Victor and I said, I don't think humanity has evolved to the point of being able to comprehend what we were looking at right now, because it was otherworldly and it was amazing.
With the technology that we have today and what we can do with videos and pictures and social media, it can still be very hard for one to convey exactly what they're seeing to everyone else. What is the most remarkable, or one of the most remarkable experiences that you all had that just couldn't be fully properly conveyed through pictures and video? And that's for any of you.
I can start. I was going to answer Kristen's question a little bit too, and I think these tie together. I've been trying to find words for it. I don't really have it yet, but we just saw so many amazing things. And people ask what's the most amazing one, and you can't pick one. There's just so many amazing experiences we had. But overall, where I keep coming back to is what kept grabbing my attention when the lighting was right and we were looking out the window, is that I kept seeing this depth to, I guess, the galaxy, for what we were visually observing out there, this depth to the galaxy that I just had never experienced before. And it's not that I could tell which stars were really closer and further, because it has to do with how bright they are, but because of how bright they are and their differences, they look like you can tell where they are in 3D. That was mind-blowing for me. And then you see the same thing with the moon and the Earth. You're viewing them from this new perspective, but this perspective with 3-dimensional depth. And I've heard Christina talk about this a lot. We're all kind of struck by these things that make us feel small. And that the sense I had was this sense of fragility and feeling small, infinitesimally small. But yet, this very powerful feeling as a human being, as a group. And that is what, to me, is what I would try to share. I saw it in all these sites over and over again. I kept seeing that same thing and that same feeling. Small and powerless, but yet powerful together.
Beautiful.
What I'd like to share today is maybe 3 of the human experiences for us. And you haven't heard us talk a lot about the science, the things we've learned, and that's because they're there, and they're incredible. But it's the human experience that is extraordinary for us. And it sounds like maybe for you too. And so I think I'll start with gratitude. Gratitude for my family, gratitude for NASA.
Doing what we did and being with who I was with, it's too big to just be in one body. And I wanted to thank our families for everything that he just said. So great words, great words, great words. I love you, but not just those 5 beautiful cocoa skin ladies right there. All of you. And I wanted to thank our leadership.
And when you're out there, you just want to get back to your families and your friends. It's a special thing to be a human, and it's a special thing to be on planet Earth. Thank you.
The next one is joy. We have a term in our crew that we coined a long time ago, the joy train. And I think you saw, sounds like you saw a lot of joy up there. There was a lot of joy. And the last one is, I need your help for this. Come on up here, guys. The last one is love. What you saw was a group of people who loved contributing, having meaningful contribution, and extracting joy out of that. And what we've been hearing is that was something special for you to witness. And the reason I had them form up here with me is because I would suggest to you that when you look up here, you're not looking at us. We are a mirror reflecting you. And if you like what you see, then just look a little deeper. This is you.
Dude, come on.
Before 2025, NASA repeatedly stated that the first Artemis moon landing would see the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. That language has since been removed from agency materials. I'd like to ask each one of you, do you believe NASA should still adhere to that original commitment for the first landing mission, and why?
I think something that we all feel and we try to share is how much we want to reflect back to you all how we did this. Not we as a crew, we as countries and as humans did this. And so what popped into my head as you were asking that is the picture of the Earth as we started to go farther from the Earth, and we've got this beautiful one where you can see the northern lights because when we were getting really close to the moon, talking about looking at you and how beautiful Earth is, that represents how far we were, but it shows you. I cannot overstress that. Like we did this together. And so that picture to me is at least representative of a lot for this mission. I also haven't looked through many of the pictures. Like I said, I've been in my hole for almost a week. And we are very intentionally not trying to take individual photo credit for things, but can I share that specific one? He took that picture, and he worked really hard he captured a lot of things that we did not think we would be able to get on film, and so that picture was Reed Wiseman, and it was not the first try. He made the adjustments to the camera and got a great picture. So yeah, congrats, it was awesome. It is awesome.
This journey started with our mission manager, Sean Duvall, knocking on my door in crew quarters and whispering, "Christina, we're go for launch. Get up." And it ended last night when my nurse on the ship put me to bed and said, "Ma'am, can I get a hug?" So when we saw Tiny Earth, people asked our crew what impressions we had. And honestly, what struck me wasn't necessarily just Earth, it was all the blackness around it. Earth was just this lifeboat hanging undisturbingly in the universe. I may have not learned, I know I haven't learned, everything that this journey has yet to teach me. But there's one new thing I know, and that is, planet Earth, you are a crew. Yeah. Thank you.
You guys gotta cut it out, man. Come on.
first story my father told me and the first story that I told each of you. In the beginning, there was nothing. Nothing but the silence of an infinite darkness. But the breath of the Creator fluttered against the face of the void, whispering, "Let there be light." And light was. And it was good. The first day. And then the formless light began to take on substance, shape. Second day. And our world was born. Our beautiful, fragile home. Our beautiful, fragile home. And a great warming light nurtured its days. And a lesser light ruled the nights. And there was evening and morning. Another day.
Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth." Verse 5, "And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day." King James Bible uses the word "the." Now, it took me a long time, okay? I was dragged slowly, kicking and screaming, into the King James camp. But for perfect attendance in the 4th grade at the Methodist Church, I was given a Revised Standard Version of the Bible, RSV. I still have it on my shelf in there. In the RSV, it says, God called the light, this is Genesis 1:5, God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening, and there was morning, one day. Verse 8 says it was a second day. Verse 13 says it was a third day. Is there a difference between one day and the first day? Yeah.
Another day.
Almost all the new versions, and you can check it out, NASB, New Living Translation, Amplified Bible, RSV, ASV, almost all of them have changed it to say one day. Why would they do that? They don't want to offend people who believe the earth is billions of years old. And the first day is really definite, and that bothers them. We don't have the authority to change God's Word. We have the authority to preach God's Word. We have the authority to print God's Word and give copies to other people. We have the authority to teach about it, but we don't have the authority to change it. I think it's a serious thing if you're going to change God's Word. Anyway, these folks who do most of these new versions believe in what's called the gap theory. How many have ever heard of the gap theory before? So reluctantly, I gave up my RSV and got a Schofield Reference Edition, which I still have in my library there. It's really ratty looking. If you pick it up, it falls apart. I've worn out several Schofield Bibles. Well, the first thing you come to in the Schofield Bible is his footnote on Genesis 1:1. Anybody have a Schofield Bible and read the reference there? You know what I'm talking about. Schofield says there's a gap between verse 1 and verse 2. Here I was, brand new Christian, reading my Bible like mad, learning the Bible, studying, going to church, you know, singing the songs, and total change in my life. But I got a Schofield Bible. Probably set me back 15 years in my Christianity from that footnote in chapter 1, verse number 2. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth." Verse 2 says, "The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep." And Schofield says there's a gap in here, maybe even billions of years. So then I had been saved for, let's see, a couple years, and I went off to college, Midwestern Baptist College. One of the books we had to study from was a great big huge book I've still got in the library called Explore the Book by J. Sidlow Baxter. Excellent book in many, many ways. But Sidlow Baxter also teaches the gap theory. And so that's what I was taught going through Bible college. And so I basically ignored the creation evolution issue because I didn't have an answer. Sidwell Baxter says in his book on page 35, between the first two verses of Genesis, there is ample scope for all the geologic eras. This is the other most commonly accepted theory to try to put billions of years into the Bible. It's called the day-age theory. In other words, maybe the days are not really days. Maybe each day is an age, a long period of time. How many have ever heard that idea before? The day-age theory. In the Living Bible, in my collection of Bibles that I've gotten over the years, I noticed this verse in verse 13. Let the earth burst forth with every sort of grass, and seed-bearing plant, and fruit trees, blah, blah, blah. It says in verse 16, all this occurred on the third day. Remember we mentioned earlier how the King James uses the first day, the second day. I said, yay, I finally found we got another one. You know, Living Bible says the first day, the second day, the third day. But it's got a little asterisk right next to the word the third day, and it's got a note at the bottom that says, literally, this is a period of time. Anytime I see a footnote, I hear a preacher say the same thing. Well, literally this means, red flags go up. He says, literally, this is a period of time. And the day-age theory people always use Psalm 90 as one of their proof verses. You know, anytime somebody's got a theory or a doctrine, they have proof text, which is what you're supposed to do. That's the proper way to do it. Here's what I believe, here's why, blank, blank, verse, 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 verse. That's exactly correct. I'm for that. But the proof verses the day-age theory people use are silly for the day-age theory. Look at this. Psalm 90, verse 4. 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past. Okay. 1,000 years looks like a day. You go to 2 Peter chapter 3, and it says, one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. I'd like you to notice a couple things. These are the only two verses where anything similar to this appears in the Bible. Only two verses that there are. Psalm 90 verse 4, 2 Peter 3:8. Neither of these verses say million or billion, do they? They both say 1,000, right? And secondly, neither of these verses have anything to do with the creation. Both verses are simply saying time doesn't mean anything to God. We are absolutely 100% stuck in time. God is not. If He were, He would not be God. Time would become God. So these two verses, 1,000 years as a day, and a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years like yesterday, have nothing to do with the creation. I have in my Bible collection in the library, you can come take a look at it, what's called the Farrar-Fenton Bible. In 1903, a guy traveling around, a preacher traveling around, speaking on Bible, he was a Bible scholar. He wrote his own version of the Bible. Here it is. I've got it in my library. The Farrar-Fenton Bible, 1903. He says in verse 1, and by the way, notice he says, translated direct from the Hebrew by Farrar-Fenton. Hebrew scholar, going to tell us everybody else has been wrong all these centuries. I'm right. Follow me. Here we go. Okay? He says, by periods, God created that which produced the solar systems, then that which produced the earth. That's Genesis 1:1. Does that sound kind of like the Bible? In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. By periods, God created. What's he trying to say there? Long periods of time, yeah. These days aren't really days, they're long periods of time. How about verse number 5? And the light God gave the name of day, and to the darkness He gave the name of night. This was the close and the dawn of the first age. What does he mean by that? This is a long period of time, right? Verse 8. This was the close and the dawn of the second age. It goes all through all 7 days and does that. He does that to all of them, okay? The first age, the second age, the third age, the fourth age. And the guy claims he's a Hebrew scholar, okay? Translated direct from the Hebrew. Farrar Fenton, the Hebrew scholar, says this is a period of time. The first age, the second age, the third age. Well, there are some real obvious problems with this idea. Could the days of creation have been long, millions of year periods of time? Well, let's see. Genesis 1:11. God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind." And blah, 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 talks about it for a while and says, God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the third day. What day did God make the trees, grass, plants, etc.? Day 3. Verse 18 and 19. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which we would assume to be the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night, we assume to be the moon. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Wow. He made the grass, the plants, the trees on day 3. He made the sun on day 4. I taught biology for a long time. I would suspect that'd be kind of hard on them plants waiting for the sun to come up. If those days are thousands of years, right? Even if it's a week, it's going to be hard on them plants, okay? Waiting for the sun to come up. How is this going to work in the creation? Who's going to go around shining the lights on these trees? You know, stay alive, you know, you'll make it. Now, on day 5, God made the birds and the insects. Those 2 are essential to pollinate plants. So here we got Farrar Fenton trying to tell us the days are long or periods of time. I would say, Farrar, I think you have a problem here. The very order of creation would say, what you're teaching is not true. People say, who cares? What difference does it make? It makes a giant difference. Because if you're going to have billions of years, you're going to have death before sin. Now you have a heresy. And it's heresy. It's not heresy to believe the earth is billions of years old, but it's heresy to put death before sin. That's a clear heresy. Okay? The Bible says death reigned from Adam to Moses. By man came death. In Adam all die.
Another day. And the waters of the world gathered together. And in their midst emerged dry land. Another day passed, and the ground put forth the growing things, a thick blanket of green stretching across all creation. And the waters, too, teemed with life.
We do not know how to build even a simple bacterium. The simplest bacterium with its 256 protein coding genes, we have no idea how to build it. First of all, we don't know how to build the molecules, the 4 classes of molecules that are needed for it. We don't know how to, even if we had those 4 classes of molecules, assemble them even into the simplest of bacteriums. We don't know how to do that. One can do that with the technologies we have today. We can make technologies, but we can't even make the simplest bacterium. Anybody who would say something contrary does not know what they are talking about. Show me the demonstration. Nobody has ever done it. And it's not because of lack of effort. It's not because of lack of will. First of all, they haven't been able to get the molecules to do this. And if they could make the molecules, even if we were to give them the molecules, they wouldn't have the information. There would be no inherent information in the DNA. But even if we gave them the DNA in the structure that they wanted, they wouldn't know how to put all the components together because of the sophistication within a cell. The interactomes, meaning that the interacting connectivity between the molecules, the van der Waals interactions, all of these have to be in the right place and in the right order for a cell to function. We don't even know how to define life, let alone knowing how to spark it to begin. I'm a synthetic organic chemist. Origin of life is purely synthetic organic chemistry. There's no way around it. I'm perfectly situated to be commenting on this, to be critiquing the origin of life research. It is abiological. It is before biology takes over. This is purely synthetic organic chemistry. And making these compounds is very simple. 4 classes of compounds. You have to make them from what's available on a presumed prebiotic earth. And so the chemistry is not hard for a synthetic organic chemist to follow, and any trained synthetic organic chemist can follow me on this. And I've never seen a synthetic organic chemist disagree with me on this. In fact, the people that might disagree with me are biologists because they've never made anything. The only thing they may have made is they buy a kit and they make it, which is made by chemists, but they've never made anything ab initio. And so it's the synthetic chemist that can critique origin of life research better than anyone else. So go ahead, ask your synthetic chemist friends to listen to what I have to say. If they have anywhere a master's degree or beyond in synthetic organic chemistry, have them critique what I say. When one looks at a typical textbook, one will see some prehistoric pond and molecules, and those molecules coming together and forming a cell, and those cells coming together and some slithering creature coming out of this pond. That is fallacious. There is no truth in that. We don't even know how to make the molecules. We are lost on how to do this. We can't even make the basic building blocks. But even if we could, from prebiotic type environment to make these, with all the intellect that we put into this, even if we could make them, we have no idea how to assemble them. You say, well, we can make the liposome, the cell membrane. We cannot. There's over 40,000 lipids have been identified in cell membranes. You want to take some simple ones? It's not just individual lipid membranes. You have to have the inside and the outside of the membrane have to be different. You have to have this huge array of proteins, that transmembrane proteins, and you have to have carbohydrates on the surface as identifiers. Even in the simplest bacterium, we have no idea how to put the structure together. It's not there. So not only do we not know how to make the basic components, we do not know how to build the structure even if we were given the basic components. So the Gedanken experiment is this: even if I gave you all the components, even if I gave you all the amino acids, all the protein structures from those amino acids that you wanted, all the lipids in the purity that you wanted, the DNA, the RNA, even in the sequence that you wanted, so I'm even giving you the code. And so now I say, and all the nucleic acids, can you now assemble a cell here in your individual bodies, not in your individual laboratories, not in a prebiotic cesspool, but in your nice laboratory? And the answer is a resounding no. And if anybody claims otherwise, they do not know this area. This is how far the misunderstanding has gone. Even science professors, even biology professors, think that there is a near building of life, that we understand all the ways to build life. We do not. Not only have none of the molecules been made ab initio under prebiotic-like conditions to make the homochiral molecules that are made. Remember, we need 4 classes of molecules. We need the nucleic acids, and then the homochiral systems that for the amino acids, which then need to be built up into protein structures. We need the carbohydrates, which have to be built up into the polycarbohydrate structures. And then we need the lipids, which also are chiral. All of these we need in homochiral form. We don't know how to do this in any prebiotic type scenario at all. These have not been made. And then to assemble these into a cell, it's never been done. So there's a gross misunderstanding. And this misunderstanding has come because of the projections of those who work in the area of origin of life. They do one little thing and then they extrapolate it, and then they work with the press to ramp it up even more, and they project as if they really know it. And so the layperson reads this and says, you see, scientists understand. And then it's not just the layperson. Scientists think that other scientists understand all of this, but they do not. So this is a cell. What is the origin of life? How do you get a cell like this? What is the origin of something like this? This is an amazing machine. A cell is an amazing machine. It's not just a blob of protoplasm. Every day it gets harder to have the origin of life, to come up with a scenario, because the origin of life becomes more and more complex every day. A cell is a factory. It has the lipid bilayer, which is extremely selective to let certain things in and not other things. It has all of this substructure in here, these little areas where energy is made in here. It has these microtubules which can form, so you can move matter from point A to point B. If you go to a factory, what you see is these overhead hanging machines that are moving materials from point A to point B. In these systems. And the way they do this is they build these racks. But same thing happens in a cell. You get these microtubules to move material from point A to point B. And then as soon as the material is done moving, the microtubule breaks down and then assembles some other place. You say, well, why doesn't it leave it there? Because then the cell would become too rigid. So it just rebuilds it. It's just amazing factory what's happening in a cell. This is what we have to make. If we want to have origin of life, you got to start here. You don't start here. You start with a single cell. Just build a single cell. That's what we have to do in origin of life. Nobody has ever done this. If you've been taught that simple forms of life have been made, that is a lie that you are believing. Somebody told you a lie. That has never been done.
Textbook says the earth is billions of years old. Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. Now, was he lying? Was he stupid? Or was he right? How old is the earth? Do the books in this town teach the kids the earth is billions of years old? Are they going to learn this in school when they go back? Of course they are. 4.6 billion years ago. Now kids, let me translate that for you. Anytime a textbook says millions of years ago, what it means is long ago and far away. That means a fairy tale is coming next, okay? That's your warning, fairy tale coming up. 30 million years ago, these critters evolved. Well, there's that word again. You got to watch that one. It says they're ancestral to both humans and modern apes. Ancestors to humans? Grandpa? What big eyes you have, Grandpa. The better to see you with, my boy. You know, we've been teaching kids they're nothing but an animal, and today a lot of them act like animals. Even Barbara Reynolds figured it out. She said, your kids go ape in school? Here's why. He's being taught evolution. Guess what, Johnny? You're an animal and share a common heritage with earthworms. You mean I'm just an animal? Okay. Have you ever stopped and thought that possibly what we're teaching the kids is maybe affecting how they behave? What you believe determines how you behave. Kids are taught today, you know, that you're just an animal. Some people look at the world one way and some look at another way. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the way you view the world determines how you will answer the four great questions of life. There are four fundamental questions that every single religion on planet Earth tries to answer. Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going when I die? The way you answer those questions is totally determined by your worldview. Some people look at the world and say, you know, it's amazing. A Big Bang made this from nothing. That's the humanist worldview based on the evolution theory. Other people look at the world and say, you know, there's incredible design. There must be a designer. That's the creationist worldview based on creation. And those two worldviews are at war with each other. I mean, somebody is wrong. And I enjoy showing them who they are. I've done a lot of debates, over 92 debates now I've done at universities. One here at UT Knoxville against Dr. Pigliucci. Debated him twice. I'd be glad to do it again. I don't think he will, but I'd be honored. You know, the guys I debate are a lot smarter than I am. But I slaughter them because I'm right and they're wrong. You know, it's real simple. Real simple. But if the evolution theory is true, how would you answer the four great questions of life? Who am I and what am I worth? Well, if evolution is true, you're nothing important. You're just a piece of protoplasm that washed up on the beach. You're not worth a thing.
We're Johnny-come-latelys. We live in the cosmic boondocks. We emerged from microbes and muck. Apes are our cousins.
Actually, you're part of the problem, you see, because you are one of the polluters of the environment. And the more of you we can get rid of, the better. Jacques Cousteau said, we need to eliminate 350,000 people a day. Ted Turner said we need a 95% decline in populations. Okay, Ted, you first. These guys for the New World Order want to reduce the population of the world to 500 million. See, Satan was told by the Lord in the Garden of Eden, you're going to crawl on your belly and eat dust all your life. Then the Lord said, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head. Satan knows someday some seed of the woman is going to bruise his head, and he's not looking forward to that. So he's decided he's going to kill every human being on the planet. Satan's goal is to kill all of humanity, to thwart God's plan. God said, fill the earth with kids, have a bunch of kids. Satan says, no, we're going to reduce it to 0. Remember when Herod wanted to kill baby Jesus in Bethlehem? What did he do? Killed all the children. Let's be sure to get the right one. Let's just kill them all. And Satan's going to try to kill every human being on the planet. Charles Wooster said, people are the cause of all the problems. We need to get rid of some of them. Bill Clinton signed the Biodiversity Treaty that said we need to reduce the Earth's population to 1 billion. They've already got the Earth divided up into regions. The red areas are for animals only. No human beings allowed. Treaty's been signed. It just hasn't been enforced yet. Coming soon, though. Peter Singer is the guy who wants to have abortions after the baby's born. You got 28 days to decide if you want to keep it. He said, Christianity is our foe. If animal rights is to succeed, we must destroy the Judeo-Christian religious tradition. Like animals have more rights than humans. Greg said the world has cancer. The cancer is man. Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth, she's the one that invented the microwave. Never mind. Okay. Prince Philip said, if I could be reincarnated, I would wish to return to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. God told Adam to replenish the earth, fill it with kids, have lots of kids, okay? He formed the world to be inhabited, Isaiah 45 tells us, okay? But we got people on the other side who think we should reduce the population of the earth. That's Satan's plan, of course.
This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to 0. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to 0. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to 0. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
See, that's normal thinking if evolution is true. Where did I come from? Well, if evolution is true, you came from a cosmic burp about 20 billion years ago. Why am I here? What's the purpose of life? Well, if evolution is true, there's no purpose to life, so you might as well have fun. If it feels good, do it. Where am I going when I die? Well, if evolution is true, you're going to the grave and you're going to get recycled into a worm or a plant. But see, the Bible says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, if that's true, that puts a whole different set of answers to those questions. That means we better try to figure out who God is and find out what He wants and do what He says, because He created this place, which means He owns it, which means He makes the rules. We better find out what He wants. And if you're not obeying His rules, you may be in trouble one of these days. We're going to get into more of that later. But boy, the devil doesn't like this idea that God created the earth. The devil came to Eve in the Garden of Eden. The first thing he said to the woman, he said, Eve, hath God said? Yea, hath God said? He's trying to raise doubts about God's Word. Satan always tries to raise doubts about God's Word. That's one of the reasons we've got all this confusion on the different Bible versions. You know, where is God's Word? Is it over here? I don't know where it is. We cover more on that in video 7. The second thing he said to the woman, he said, ye shall not surely die. He's calling God a liar, basically. The third thing he said to Eve is what I want to talk to you about tonight. He said, Eve, if you eat off that tree, ye shall be as gods. And right there is where the whole idea of evolution got started. It didn't start with Charlie Darwin. It started with Satan in the Garden of Eden. He wants you to think you can become a god. Yes, boys and girls, we started like an amoeba, and we're evolving. We're getting bigger and better and stronger and smarter, and someday we're going to sail around the universe and discover new life forms like Star Trek.